Songwriters, do you ever get to the bridge and wonder what to do? I'm going to tell you 7 different things to consider when you get to your bridge to help that section function as better contrast and more compelling for the listener. First, let's talk about lyrics. I would suggest you go back and look at what you've talked about in verse 1, what you've talked about in your pre-chorus, if there is one, your chorus, what you've talked about in verse 2. Ask yourself, what have you not talked about yet? How can we either project this into the future, think of the moral of the story, reveal something that we haven't revealed yet, or have some epiphany? And that can be what your bridge is about lyrically. In terms of melody, don't start on the same note as your other sections. Pick a different note of the scale to begin your melody lines. In addition to that, the contours of your melody lines. Have your melody lines been mainly descending? Have they been static? Have they been ascending? Have they been an arc? Have they been an inverted arc? If you seem to be having a lot of the same thing, whatever you haven't done in the other sections is what you should do in your bridge. So if nothing in your song up to this point has had an ascending melodic contour, you can make your bridge ascending, and that would create better contrast. Also, go to your other sections and see what parts of the measure your lines have started on. Are they starting on a pickup? Are they starting on the downbeat? Are they starting after the downbeat? Whatever you've already been doing, do something different. So if you have not yet had a section where the melody starts on the downbeat, start your bridge on the downbeat. But just pay attention to the rhythmic placement of your phrases and where they begin in the measure and contrast in that way. Another thing to think about is the speed of your lyrics. Have your lyrics been really slow so far? Are the words coming all at the same pace? Maybe on the bridge, the lyrics come a little bit faster. You don't want to do it in a way that just feels like it's out of nowhere and it doesn't belong in the song. You can contrast the speed of how fast the words are coming. If the song has been very peppy and the lyrics have been coming quite quickly to the listener, maybe on the bridge you stretch out and elongate the words, or maybe you have more space between your lyrical phrases, but that's another thing, lyrical pacing. When it comes to chords, look at the first chord you've used at the beginning of each of the other sections. Don't start the bridge on the same chord as any of your other sections. It's not a hard rule, but it's just a way to create contrast if you want to. Another thing to think about is if every section has started on a major chord, maybe start your bridge on a minor chord, or vice versa. Another thing is if you have not used any color chords, meaning chords that are not diatonic to the key that you're in, such as a borrowed chord from the parallel major or minor, or a secondary dominant, meaning a major chord where a minor chord would normally be. Try using a color chord in your bridge. It doesn't have to be the first chord that you start with, but you could throw that in the bridge. If you're in a major key and if you haven't used a flat major 7 chord yet, you could throw that in your bridge, and that would create contrast. I think that was actually more than 7 things, but